So good morning, everyone. We're here with Shakib Niazi at the London Metropolitan University MBA Society's Business Breakfast. And I'd like for you to please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Shakib.
And tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I've been in tech for 36 years now. And to show you how old I am, I learned on punch cards. So those are little pieces of card that you put holes in that computers read. I've been through every iteration, revolution, innovation in technology since. And I've re-engineered or educated myself several times. From a straightforward COBOL programmer all the way through to Visual Basic and C#.NET. So from mainframes to client servers. Now we talk about mobile. So yesterday I was building our charity website using WordPress and making sure it works on tablets and mobiles and everything else.
Now we met you at the Accelerators Startup Sprint, and you were doing some mentoring work there. How did you get involved with Simon, Toby, and the Accelerator?
Right. So in around 6 years ago, we wrote a book called Entrepreneurs Succeed With Us, and it was a business growth book. It was on Amazon. It became #1 for the week that it was promoted. I wrote the chapter on how to use ICT to grow your business, which we now call growth hacking. So I was a growth hacker before I knew it. And it was really to help businesses grow. The people that we had involved were quite serious people from marketing, from law, corporate management and everything else. And as we wrote the book, I was doing the consultancy for a major retailer around the big data piece, digitalization strategy for the board, and also working out that they needed to drive the business forward with data. So it was introducing predictive and prescriptive analytics for the first time. And it was very hard for them to understand it. Then we said we needed to enhance the data, and it became a very interesting piece, a very dynamic piece. At the same time, BCS, the British Computer Society, were looking for mentors. I said I could do that because this is my style. My style has always been encouraging and mentoring people. So we did the event, and I thought the event was, well, it could be better. So I joined the committee, and then I became the author of the BCS's entrepreneurship program. So I created all the events. There were several events like Meet and Mentor, speed mentoring, technology, TTM, so Technology Mondays, that kind of thing. And as I got more into the mentoring thing, then I designed my own mentoring paradigm. It's called Alchemy. So it's based on Entrepreneur Toolkit. So we've designed our toolkit and they're readily available by other people, and something that we designed ourselves. And it's a way of designing and developing learning. So it's I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. So we're driving learning. So the whole point is when you're mentoring somebody, it's not just mentoring and being reflective, but it's providing advice and coaching. So at the end of the session, you would have learned something, you would have had some goals, and you could move forward. And so in my journey, I've become a Princess Trust mentor, a STEM ambassador. I've set up my own charity called SEED, the Society for Entrepreneurial Education and Development. And I met, Natalie found me through the Princess Trust. Then we met with Toby, and I do the Hack for Good as well as the big challenge for London Met, and that was another one of those events. But I also do social impact hackathons with Greenwich University. I'm the entrepreneur resident with Kingston University, and we're talking to some others. So entrepreneurship and mentoring, developing people's skills, the employability piece for university students is now why I get up in the mornings, as well as working with high growth startups.
That's great. So you've mentioned some work that you're doing around technology. What are you working on now?
Oh, it's fun stuff. So the latest piece of technology. So we know what silicon is. Yeah. So silicon is what drives our technology. So imagine if you could use plastic, the cost would go straight down. So on Friday, I met with the CEO of Pragmatic, which is prints ICs on plastic. So the ink is like a tech carries electricity and the plastic, so it becomes a circuit board, but it's flexible. And the price is something like 10% of the cost of silicon. So while you've got refit and NFC, those are the labels on packaging that you've got. If you go into, let's say, a retail store, bottle of champagne, you'll see the label with something thick on the side, it's slightly thicker. That's the silicone, and that's a pound a label. So you're looking at 15p a label now. That means we can refit or NFC anything. So that means that we can actually have, so when you come into the building, you have your card and you reach down and you swipe it and all that stuff. You could actually just have it in your pocket and walk through, because we can read it depending on the size of the field around you. So if you're thinking on packaging terms, the cost was reduced. It's not a barcode, it's an electric reader. So you don't have to find it and swipe it, it'll just read it. So you can have, like if it was an Amazon, you can have channels of product going into the conveyor and it automatically selecting. It does that now, but it uses barcodes and it's very expensive. You could do that with a mobile phone. How about going into prep and using your mobile phone to scan over the sandwich, and it tells you every ingredient. And if you've got allergies, boom, it just red flashing light, do not buy this product. If you're diabetic, it says this is not a great product. So you create, it's an intelligent label. Okay, the data is held in the cloud, and that's why you need the app and the connection. But the NFC identifies that device, that piece. And it can be an individual piece that you can program just in time for everyone, or it can be just a label piece. You know, there is a difference coming. Yeah, and the goal is to create it as a full integrated circuit at some point, which could be 3 to 5 years away. So what you pay now, if you look at your bank cards and that chip, yeah, is to get that to be printed on thin plastic. Then you can add it to wearables. You can have 3 labels on there, and then your phone, somebody rings and put it there and answer later, send a message. You can do all that kind of stuff. So your wearables become more intelligent. So it's a huge opportunity piece, because it's low cost, it's dynamic, so you can design and print very quickly. I mean, the capacity's not there. I've been offered capacity in their Durham warehouse, a factory, for special projects. So if anybody's got an idea on how to use, low cost labeling, intelligent labeling, then by all means come and ask me. Yeah, so we talked about that on Friday. That's how new it is. Yeah, and it's a world first. Yeah, and 2 weeks ago I was talking to Tata Group, a product called Net Foundry, and what they've got is a canopy type wireless network. So it's a traditional network, but it allows you to, instead of running VPNs, you can actually do point-to-point connections with devices. And I won't go through the security model, but it allows you to unencumber, the cost of technology. Because at the moment you're running VPNs, it's multiple pipes, it's like a spaghetti junction. Though it's virtual, it's like a spaghetti junction. You can remove a lot of that. So suddenly you've got campus-wide security, and if you're allowed to use that printer, you could just print to it without having to do anything fancy. And you can assign it from a central place. Just click, you have access to it. Rather than going there, plug it in, testing, what's the IP and all that sort of stuff. So there's world first coming out, and I've been asked to judge at a up-and-coming conference on world first technologies. There'll be 12 of us as judging, but I've got 2 or 3 companies I'd like to introduce, so I may be conflicted. This is a problem, you know too many people.
And how do you incorporate what you're doing with Seed or your mentoring and technology?
So Seed is born out my frustration with charities and people who say they're going to do good but never really do good. Yeah, so it's really a volunteer-only action piece. It's on 4 pillars, which is digital skills, coding and computing, employability, and entrepreneurship. Now, to me, a kid is anybody below 30, because we go up to the university level. So at Kingston, I'm the entrepreneur residence, working with students. And then with the Aldridge Foundation, we're talking to them about creating something for kids between 7 and 18. Yeah, and then I've got a bunch of schools in the southeast of England that I'm talking to one of the governors on how we can help them. So the goal is to actually connect all the dots. So we're running cyber awareness for vendors, so we'll get paid as an organisation to promote it. I'll use my database to generate income for the charity. Then there's the senior guys, the C-suite, CISOs, the decision makers around technology, especially cyber, will be invited to private dinners, 10, 15 at a time, where we'll do cyber strategy. Because the bigger corporates take time to maneuver quite complex environments, and the smaller businesses need it now. because they're far more likely to get hammered by all the other viruses and the ransomware and everything else. But the benefits is that once we're delivering this cyber awareness, the income that we generate will go towards kids and e-safety and e-ethics. And if you don't know what the difference is, e-safety is their digital footprint, the social media that they connect to, the data that they share, and all that kind of stuff. Whereas e-safety is about the cyberbullying, self-harming, suicide, grooming, all the kind of stuff that comes up. We're talking with and working with, in Pencil, we're working with the City of London Police, Global Cyber Alliance, and a few other organisations, so that we can actually make sure it's part of everyday life. So if it's part of the curriculum, so you've got to learn it at school, but teachers won't know about cyber. So what we're doing is we're building that add-on piece, that animation, that VR or AR experience, or whatever it is that kids will enjoy, but learn at the same time. So it allows us then to create a digital package that can be anywhere in the world. Yeah, and that's the premise that we're following, is that we can automate it, digitalize it, we can share it. And that means any child anywhere can learn this stuff. And it can be multilingual. So you can use AR and press a button and the language changes. Yeah? You can press something and it'll tell you in that language. So technology is a great enabler, but you've got to know what you're doing with it. Yeah? And for us, it's connecting the dots. So we include our corporate partners, we include everyman, small, medium, large businesses, entrepreneurs, startups, and we include the kids. And the trick is actually that concertina effect. If I keep talking to corporates, it's slow moving. If I keep talking to small businesses, I'm filling the gap. But when I talk to kids, I'm now concertina, the problem. So that means more people in society will learn about cyber, cyber aware. And the problem with cyber is the person clicking on that email because it was a picture of somebody, like a sports person or something else, or I've won 30,000 million dollars or something. It's one of these weird emails that will come up, and they're getting more sophisticated. They're saying, "Oh, here's your invoice," or "Here's your free ticket," and they'll copy Eventbrite and all the other organisations, and people will click it. And that's where your weakness is, because you've now bypassed all the technology and all the security, and then you've got to have now systems that repair, so you can be preventative, but now you've got to have repair. Yeah, and all this costs time and money, and you've got to actually understand what you're doing, so you know what you're recovering. And so incident management is now growing as a piece of experience and knowledge and profession.
And with your experience in the corporate world, where did the social impact and where did the social impact and mentoring and entrepreneur all come together?
Yeah, so Seed is so I did bits with several organisations, but Seed is where I'm bringing it all together. I got my social values many years ago. I worked with as a fundraiser for Great Ormond Street when Princess Diana was alive. So back then in the 80s. I've done a few fundraising things with other charities, and I actually was a trustee in 2000 of a local charity, the Patients Participation Group, which allowed us to raise funds. I designed the magazine, we sold advertising, we made money, we bought a spirometer, which is lungs, ECG, which is heart, comfortable chairs for old age pensioners for the surgery. But I've always done something to help people out.
Because I feel like when we talk with each other, we realize there are people, or I think this group is pretty much on the same page when it comes to giving back and wanting to integrate social impact into the work we do.
Yeah.
But a lot of the rest of the corporate world is not on that same page.
Oh, things are changing. CSR is equal to PR now, which is how do I get my company noticed by spending less money on advertising and more money on social impact. That social engineering piece is now happening. Mm-hmm. So before the millennials, it was always money, money, money. Wall Street, got to make money. Money is good. The millennials came along and they created, the gig economy, the shared. I'm not going to do one job for life. Everything's changing. Generation Z is something even slightly more different. So we're coming to a point where there has to be social value in what we do. Otherwise, why are we doing it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, corporates understand this, but again, they're slow-moving vehicles. So our goal, especially with this cyber piece, it's a POC, a proof of concept. can we get corporates engaged? Can we get small businesses and startups, engaged? And can we get schools engaged? The subject matter is cyber awareness. The fact that we label it as e-safety and e-ethics is just a way of labeling the information so they absorb it better. And it's about that context. Yeah? But if we can work with those three organizations, then our goal is to work with those corporates and their CSR program to help fund this. Because while we'll do it with the vendors, the cyber vendors in the beginning, our goal is to work with all these corporates who have a social challenge that they want to address somehow. And guess what? On Friday, when I did my, we met with Pragmatic, the CEO. We talked about business, but then we talked about social impact. He's now wants me to find a project for him. Yeah, so that's how easy it is, or how difficult it could be. And so I still don't know what he wants, but I've written him an email saying, tell me what you want. And then he came up with a special projects piece as well. So if you don't ask, you don't get. Yeah. So you've got to be clear about what you want to do in your life. I like special projects. I don't do 9 to 5. And the last time I had a proper job was 87. Yeah, so I've been self-employed or contracting or otherwise engaged. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no point.
So you definitely think there is a need for maybe some consultancy work around CSR and creating that social impact space within organizations?
CSR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Organizations are constantly talking to their PR and the senior management team, but nobody has time to think of social impact. They're too busy keeping their jobs. It is an external resource that's required, somebody to come in and enlighten the team. Yeah? And then also make it easy. Because that's the biggest thing. You can go in and talk to the CEO and he goes, yeah, let's do something. And that's it. Because nobody has time. There's no capacity. And they have no value. So people come up with CSR programs to do social impact that is not connected to their business. So our one is connected to your business. So if you do cyber awareness, cyber strategy, it's connected to your business. And the outcome is a byproduct, it's actually social impact. So what we've got to do is when we create a CSR program for a business, it needs to be plugged into a challenge that they've got as a commercial piece, as well as they can provide social impact. We're talking about sustainability. So the company has a high energy use. Okay, we've got one now, farming. So Arla has now decided to reduce the carbon and methane emissions in farming. So what they've done is they've invested in low energy equipment, low energy tractors and things, more environmentally friendly. So that means that they've got a lower carbon footprint, and now they're going to be working on the methane element of cows and everything else, so they can reduce the cost and the environmental impact. So they're doing CSR, but directly related to their challenges. Yeah? So now they've got a piece of educating their farmers, they've got an investment piece. Yes, there's commercial value in everything that they're doing, but there's a big CSR value. And that's what businesses are now doing, because governments are saying, you've got to be responsible for your waste. So companies are now saying, well, I've got a waste problem, so what do I do? So we've got one guy, or a couple of guys from Kingston who've got potato boards. So you take potato peeling and you can make boards. And those boards can be used for packaging. As the biggest company that with waste skins is McCain. And McCain is an alumni of Kingston. So they've actually connected. So they've got unlimited raw materials to make packaging, but made out of potato skins.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not something that they looked at, but they had a cost of what do I do with my potato skins? They just throw them away. They get people to put them in landfill. Now they can give them to an organization that reuses them, repurposes it. Yeah? But you've got to find where the commercial challenges of that business is and how you can then create a CSR piece around that. Yeah? So you've got to be entrepreneurial. You've got to go in and say, well, actually, if you did this and this and this, would that give you social impact and save you money? Now I can invest in that, because it's not costing me money, it's going to save me money, so I can invest. I've got a return on investment.
That's right. I'm going to open it up for the students to ask any questions that they have before our time runs out.
I'm just going to ask, so in your mentoring role, it sounds like you mentor like a wide range of people.
Yes.
Is there some commonality with respect to the limitations or the weaknesses that you see, like the common mistakes that people make?
They don't do their homework.
They don't do their homework.
So I don't care where you are, how big you are, my first exercise is pain and gain. What are you here to do? What is that core piece that you're solving? Yeah, we've got the value proposition canvas, so pain and gain into the VPC. Once I understand their pain and gain, and I'll say, well, okay, so it'll be, if they're a startup, is their MVP, minimal viable product. Also, with existing business, a RACI and a SWOT, to actually identify where the strengths and weaknesses are. So the first thing is really an audit piece and revalidating their ideas. And it comes from Einstein. So he designed the theory of relativity, and there's nobody in the world that could check it. So what did he do? He threw it away. He destroyed it. And then he did it again. And he got the figures the same, and he goes, guess what? I may have made an assumption that I had previously. So what did he do? He threw it away. So the third time he did the theory of relativity, he got the same answer, and he goes, that's it. Because nobody in the world can check it. Yeah. So the whole point is throw away the stuff that you believe in, just metaphorically. Start again. And maybe you find other values in your system, in your business, that you can either pivot towards or anything else. Because an assumption that you may take, if you're a business and you're running for 3 or 4 years, it's 3 or 4 years old. Yeah? And it would have been 2 years before that. So it's a 5 or 6 year old idea. So, and how guarantee that you, just because you're making money doesn't mean it's perfect. Yeah? So it's going back to your core values, your pain and gain, understanding your market, your buyer persona, the buyer journey, and how to actually increase your customer acquisition, reduce your customer acquisition costs, lifetime value, all these things. Yeah. So you could do it at this end, because that's what any other business person does. Then you have no value. You've got to be entrepreneurial, you've got to rewind it all the way back, take it apart, rebuild it, does it work? Yeah. And that's how you find value in the business. And I spent Saturday evening doing that with a social enterprise. So the social enterprise is that we've got personal allowances, and we need to manage those personal allowances. This is an NHS, so if you've got loneliness or depression, instead of giving you more drugs, would you like to go play table tennis at the local place, and we'll pay for your membership, so that, you know, because you're unemployed or something, so that you become less depressed and less lonely. Yeah, so what would you rather have is this inclusive piece to actually, you know, connect you back with society, or drugs? Yeah. So you've got to wind back. NHS is saying, we'll just give you drugs. Now they're saying, oh, actually there's more to this, there's a holistic view. And that only happens when you wind it back a bit. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what size business you are.
Any other questions?
With regards to the cyber awareness work that you're doing, are you finding people receptive? Because I've tried to do something similar back at home with internally with staff, but whenever we talk about cybersecurity and cyber awareness, it sounds like a very big technical word, and not many people are interested.
Yeah, well, just say, do you want to be robbed?
Yeah.
Do you want your name robbed? You know, do you want everything that's in your bank account gone tomorrow? Yeah, this is self-preservation, self-protection. Yeah, it's about them not clicking on something that they shouldn't do. Because the biggest thing is we've made it over complex in the language that we use. Yeah. But when I start sitting down with organizations and they understand, a lot of other people understand, those cyber vendors know that it's not technologies that's going to solve this. So part of this cyber awareness piece is actually seminars and workshops for the workforce for these organizations, because that's the only way you're going to drill it in. It's like GDPR is awakener. It's actually help people teach their staff about the complications of personal data, and they're liable. Yeah? Same as cyber. Yeah? So you've got to get them into becoming aware of the challenge that they're facing, because if they, you know, and the data, Facebook and all these other guys, so their personal details are everywhere on every criminal's desktop. Yeah? It's only a matter of time when they get hacked, either personally or as a business. And all that data is social engineering data. Yeah, so your pet's name, your mother's maiden name, all that stuff is all currently captured by the criminals. Yeah? And when you win the lottery, they'll target you. Yeah, if you get promoted to a CEO of a large company, they'll target you. Yeah, so it's about self-preservation. So the language is wrong when you talk about cybersecurity and also esoteric stuff. Just say, look, do you want to have the money in your bank that you had tonight, tomorrow morning? And that's the simplest thing. Yeah, if you know, you're not going to leave your wallet on the counter in a cafe because somebody's going to steal it. So why do you leave a sticky with your password on your screen? Yeah. So please rock me. That's a label today. Please rock me. That's all. Any more questions?
I'm really interested when you say about the intelligent labeling.
Yeah.
So that if we change everything to a silicone now, it would be cheaper, but the impact in the environment would be worse just to change everything, or how durable is going to be that product? In the
Okay,
market?
so we're moving away from silicon to plastic, yeah, but these are small plastic, really small, yeah. So the silicon is about 5 or 6 times the size of it. So there's a reduction in environmental impact. Also, the cost is reduced. So if you're a manufacturer and you have 1 million units and you're paying £1 for every shampoo, let's say mon Chandon, I've got £1 million, 1 million bottles going through my system. It costs £15, £20, but I'll pay £1 to protect it. So that's £1 million. Yeah. So if I can halve that, they'll be happy. If I can do a quarter, they'll be really happy. If I do it for 20%, they're knocking on my door. There's a financial impact and a social impact. Yeah. So the great thing is, this is a technology that will make money, and all businesses need to make money. And the CSR piece, the social benefit piece, has to be a byproduct of that automatically. Yeah. So by going from silicone to plastic, yes, there's a bit of an environmental impact to it, but it's less than what you've got. So it's 1/5 of what you've got, and at 1/5 of the price. There is a cost to that, which is the readers and all the other bits and pieces. But the technology can be read by a mobile phone, NFC. So actually it's an empowering piece. So the label, so at the moment you'll have to get a barcode reader, have a connection to that product database, and will you have the information? No. But if you do this as a program of saying, people have allergies in food, yeah, and so as a food retailer, sandwiches, you need to be able to tell people what the allergy is. And the argument is that I cannot, because I've got too many products. Yeah, I put a label that's 6 months ago, and I've got to do last minute substitutions, so I'm allowed to do that. This is why the girl died, because there was a last minute substitution in a product, and she ate it, and she had an anaphylactic shock. Died. What you could do is you could actually label the range or label the individual thing. Yeah? So it becomes even easier, and you don't have to print it. It's electronic, so it's all soft. You know, the label's on there, and just write to it. Yeah? And the devices are out there. We've got prototype devices to read and write. Yeah. So the question is can we then create this as an IoT piece? So every phone suddenly becomes enabled. We give you an app that allows you to then scan these things and know where they are. Yeah. And also, the great thing is you throw them all into your shopping, you just wheel the basket through a reader, and it does everything all in one go. You don't have to take it out. You could bag it, you know, in the trolley, and just put the thing through. It reads it all in one go. Yeah. So it saves you so much time. Yeah. So if I want to make queues faster in the supermarket, then I'll use those labels. And the question is, how much does a queue cost? And if I've got 20 employees on 20 tills, now I've got 10 employees and 20 self-service tills. So we're going in that direction, that we don't want an employee because it costs money. How do we automate? The challenge is theft. So when they first brought out these self-service tills, bottles of champagne used to go missing because they would put foil over the reader, you know, scan a bag of potatoes, which is the same weight as the champagne, put the champagne on the weighing machine. So now they've put cameras on there, and they've got other tricks, yeah. But that's what they used to do, because they didn't know the exact weight of a bottle of champagne, so you used to bag of potatoes. Yeah, you got a bottle of champagne. We know this because I know the security team at Marks and Spencer. So, you know, labeling, especially intelligent labeling, will save us millions just in theft. Yeah? If you look at shrinkage, it's usually 1 to 2% of a business. If you're $1 billion business, how much is that?
What about the terms of employability of people? So the innovation of technology goes up. What about the jobs? Do they go down?
Are you a coal miner?
About what?
A coal miner. Oh. So coal mining was one of the biggest jobs in this country, yeah, during the 1800s. It's gone, yeah. But now we've got IT people. So today is data coal mining, data mining. Yeah? So jobs change with AI and ML, so artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all these new technologies. It just gives us a different type of job. Yeah? And if you look at the number of people being employed, it's going to go less, but then it may just change. Yeah, there's too many people on the planet anyway, so we cannot employ everybody, we cannot feed everybody. All right, we know this. So the question is the way modern governments work is that the best succeed. Yeah? So my problem is that's not good enough. I want everybody to succeed, or everybody to feed themselves. That's why I set up a charity. So that everybody with resources gets the resources to keep the resources. It needs to be shared across. So the whole point is open access to those resources. And employability is number one. But our jobs are going to be different. So you'll never have one job for life anymore. Yeah, we know that. But you'll never have one job at any one time anymore. You'll have 2 or 3 different jobs. Because the goal is for corporates to make more money. So when they socially engineered life after the Second World War, where you had extended families, so you had grandparents, parents and kids, they broke that up so that you each had a house. So you each bought a washing machine. That's where consumer society came from. Everybody has a house, a car, and a washing machine. So now they're breaking up the fabric of a family. You don't need a 2-parent and 2 kids paradigm. You can live by yourself. So suddenly we become more and more towards, insular. This is where loneliness and all this other stuff comes into it. But we know that, I'm from an Asian background. We've got 3 generations in my house. My mother's still there, my son was there. Yeah? Because we all help each other. So it's a different lifestyle. So employability is really around feeding the family. When you go from the pre-Second World War and pre-First World War, where men were out doing the work and women are at home, men would earn a living wage for the family. But come modern society, which is after the Second World War, women wanted a job, so you gave them the job, but you've got now twice the size of the workforce. You can quickly reduce what you pay them. So now, both of you have to be working full time just to feed yourself, let alone get a mortgage. Yeah, this is modern enslavement. Credit is a new chain for slavery.
We're going to have to wrap up, just so we can have a few minutes to chat and finish up the breakfast stuff. But thank you so much for coming on this Monday morning and joining us. Great, thank you.